Think about the laws of nature for a second. The brutal, unforgiving arithmetic of the wild. In the animal kingdom, a male sees another male as one of two things: a threat to his dominance or a rival for resources. When a young lion challenges the pride, the old lion doesn't step aside gracefully. He fights to the death. He tears the younger one apart if he can. That is the default setting of biology. Survival of the fittest. Me versus you. My power versus your power. But then there is your father. He is the single greatest biological anomaly in your entire existence. He is the only creature on this planet wired to destroy himself so that you can survive. He is the only man who looks at you, his potential replacement, his younger, faster, stronger rival, and says, "I want him to be better than me." Do you understand how insane that is? Do you understand how contrary that is to every selfish instinct in the human brain? Pause. Look at your life. Look at the timeline of your failures. You're 22 years old. You've just made a catastrophic mistake. Maybe it was money. Maybe it was the law. Maybe you trusted the wrong person and they gutted you, leaving you humiliated in front of everyone you know. The phone stops ringing. The friends who were drinking your liquor last week? Gone. The girl who said she loved you? She's suddenly needing space. The colleagues who laughed at your jokes? They're pretending they don't know your name because the smell of failure is contagious and they don't want to catch it. You are standing alone in the wreckage of your own stupidity. The silence is deafening. The shame is a physical weight, pressing down on your chest, making it hard to breathe. You look around and you see the truth of the world. Nobody cares. Nobody is coming to save you. You are just a statistic, a loser, a cautionary tale. And then you hear it. The sound of a car engine in the driveway. The heavy thud of a car door closing. The key turning in the lock. It's him. He doesn't come in smiling. He doesn't come in with a hug and a warm cup of cocoa. He comes in looking tired. He comes in wearing the same work boots he's worn for 5 years because he spent the money on your tuition instead of new ones. He looks at the mess you've made. He looks at the disaster that drove everyone else away. And he doesn't leave. He sits down. He sighs, that deep, rattling sigh of a man who has carried the weight of the world for decades. And he asks, "Okay, how do we fix this?" He is the gladiator who steps into the arena when everyone else is fleeing the stands. You have spent your entire life searching for heroes in movies, in athletes, in celebrities who don't even know you exist. You have plastered posters on your walls of men who would step over your dying body to get to a camera. And all the while, the actual hero, the silent guardian, the dark knight of your reality, was sitting in the living room, reading the paper, being boring. You mistook his silence for distance. You mistook his strictness for cruelty. You thought because he didn't praise you for every mediocrity, he didn't love you. Wrong. He didn't praise you because he knew the world wouldn't praise you. He was trying to harden you. He was trying to build calluses on your soul so that when life inevitably hit you with a brick, you wouldn't shatter. He was the training simulation for a brutal reality. Every time he made you redo a chore, he was teaching you excellence. Every time he made you save $1 instead of spending it, he was teaching you survival. Every time he stood in the doorway and intimidated that friend you brought home, he was acting as the perimeter security for your life. He saw the wolves before you even knew they existed. And here is the darkest truth of all, the one that should make you sick with guilt. You resented him for it. You rolled your eyes. You called him controlling. You wished he was more like your friend's dad. The cool dad who let them drink, who let them run wild, who wanted to be their buddy instead of their father. Where is that cool dad now? Probably divorced, probably broke, probably watching his kids spiral into chaos because he never built a wall for them to lean on. Your father built the wall. He built it with his own sweat, his own time, and his own denied dreams. He took the bricks of his own ambitions and used them to build a fortress for you. And he did it knowing you wouldn't thank him. He did it knowing you would probably hate him for it during your teenage years. He did it knowing that one day you would grow up and leave him behind. He accepted the role of the villain in your adolescent narrative because he knew that being the villain was the only way to be the savior. That is a love so profound, so devoid of narcissism, that it barely registers as human. It is something else. It is a primal, ancient covenant. I will decrease so that you may increase. He is the only man in the world who is truly on your side. Not the side of your ego, not the side of your feelings, but the side of you, the side of your survival, the side of your future. Everyone else is a visitor in your life. They are tourists. They come for the good weather, and they leave when the storm hits. Your father is the ground. He is the dirt you walk on. He is the foundation that holds the house up. You don't notice the foundation until it cracks. You don't think about the ground until it shakes. But without it, you are falling into the abyss. And right now, whether you realize it or not, you are standing on his shoulders. The view you have of the world, you only have it because he is holding you up. Think about the concept of free. Throughout your entire childhood, you operated under a delusion, a beautiful, carefully constructed hallucination. You thought the lights coming on when you flipped the switch was magic. You thought the refrigerator refilling itself was nature. You thought the roof over your head was just there, like the sky, like the air. You lived in a kingdom of abundance where resources just appeared. You asked and you received. You broke and it was replaced. But nothing is free. In the physics of this universe, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transferred. So where did that energy come from? Where did this safety come from? It came from him. Every single moment of your carefree innocence was purchased with a piece of his life. Pause. Let that sink in. While you were playing video games, blissfully unaware of the concept of a mortgage, he was sitting in a gray cubicle or standing on a concrete floor, trading the literal minutes of his existence for the currency that kept you warm. He was selling his time. He was selling his body. He was selling his dreams. Do you know what it feels like to be humiliated by a boss who is half your age and twice as stupid? Do you know what it feels like to swallow your pride, to bite your tongue until it bleeds, to stand there and take the disrespect? He does. He took it. He stood there and let a lesser man belittle him. Why? Because if he punched that boss in the face, you wouldn't eat. If he walked out on that soul-crushing job, you wouldn't have those new sneakers you needed to fit in. He became a sponge for the world's toxicity. He absorbed the stress, the fear, the uncertainty of the economy. He filtered it all through his own nervous system so that by the time he walked through the front door, all you saw was Dad's home. You didn't see the panic attack he fought off in the car. You didn't see the ulcer burning a hole in his stomach. You didn't see the calculation he made in the grocery store aisle, putting the steak back and grabbing the ground beef so you could go on that school trip. He ate the burnt piece of toast. Every time. You thought he liked it? You thought he just had weird taste? Wrong. He ate the burnt piece so you could have the good one. He took the smallest piece of chicken. He wore the coat with the fraying cuffs. He drove the car with the broken heater. He wasn't being thrifty. He was engaging in a silent, daily act of martyrdom. And the worst part? The part that should make you cringe? You judged him for it. You looked at his worn-out clothes and felt embarrassed. You looked at his old car and wished he would upgrade. You looked at his exhaustion on the weekend, when he just wanted to sleep, and called him boring. You called him lazy. Lazy? The man was running a marathon with a refrigerator strapped to his back, and you were complaining that he wasn't running fast enough. There is a ledger, a silent, invisible book of accounts that he keeps locked in his heart. In that ledger is every hour of overtime, every missed lunch, every ache in his lower back that he never complained about, every dream of being a musician or an artist or a traveler that he took out back and shot in the head the day you were born. He killed his own potential to fertilize yours. And he never sent you the bill. He never sat you down and said, "Look what I did for you." He never guilt-tripped you with the itemized list of his sacrifices. He just did it. That is the definition of the Shadow King. The ruler who governs from the darkness, who secures the borders while the citizens sleep, who takes the arrows so the kingdom remains a paradise. You lived in the paradise. He lived in the trenches. And now look at you. You're starting to feel the weight of the world yourself. The bills are coming in your name. The stress is keeping you up at night. And suddenly, the boring man looks different. Suddenly, you realize that his silence wasn't an absence of thought. It was the heavy, focused silence of a sentry on duty. He wasn't ignoring you. He was scanning the horizon for threats. He wasn't emotionally unavailable. He was emotionally overleveraged, bankrupting his own peace of mind to ensure yours remained solvent. You owe a debt you can never repay, a debt of blood, sweat, and years. The next time you look at his gray hair, don't just see age. See the receipt. That gray hair is the price of your tuition. That wrinkle on his forehead is the cost of your braces. That stiffness in his walk is the tax he paid on your childhood. He is a walking ruin of a man because he built you into a cathedral, and he would do it again, without hesitation, because that is the terrifying, beautiful pathology of a father. He would burn himself to ash just to keep you warm for one more night. Let's talk about the people you actually respected. The crew. The boys. The inner circle you built your entire identity around from age 15 to 25. You treated them like royalty. You answered their texts in seconds. You dropped everything when they called. You spent money you didn't have to impress them. You drove them around in the car your father paid for, burning the gas he worked for, to go to parties where you laughed at jokes that weren't funny just to fit in. You prioritized their approval above everything. Above your grades. Above your health. And definitely above him. Remember that? Remember sitting at the dinner table, checking your phone under the table, desperate to get back to the real world of your friends? Remember looking at your father across the table, eating his silent meal, and thinking, God, he's so out of touch. He has no idea what life is really like. You thought he was a dinosaur. You thought his rules were archaic. Be home by midnight. Who is driving? I don't like that kid. You hated him for it. You thought he was trying to ruin your social life. You thought he was jealous of your freedom. Here is the gut punch reality check. Those friends, they didn't love you. They loved what you provided. They loved that you were a warm body to fill the silence. They loved that you were an audience for their ego. They loved that you had a car. They loved that you were willing to get into trouble with them so they wouldn't have to be alone. In their stupidity, they were tourists in your life. And the moment, the exact second, you stopped being fun or useful or convenient, they vanished. Think about the time you really screwed up, the time you got arrested, or the time you lost your job, or the time you fell into a deep, ugly depression that wasn't aesthetic or cool. Where were they? Did they rush over? Did they sit in the dark with you? Did they offer to pay your rent? No. They got busy. They suddenly had a lot going on right now. They ghosted you. They distanced themselves because your failure was a contagion they didn't want to catch. They treated you like a leper because their loyalty was transactional. It was a contract. You entertain me. I tolerate you. Now look at the man you ignored. Look at the man you rolled your eyes at. When the police called, he answered. When the bank called, he answered. When you were crying on the floor of your bathroom at 3 a.m. because your heart was broken by someone he told you was bad news, he was there. He didn't say, "I told you so," even though he had every right to scream it from the rooftops. He didn't check his schedule. He didn't ask what was in it for him. He just showed up. He walked into the police station. He walked into the hospital room. He walked into the wreckage of your life with a shovel and started digging you out. He is the silent king. While you were worshiping false idols, chasing the validation of people who would trade you for a pack of cigarettes, he was holding the kingdom together. He knew. He knew those friends were trash. He knew they were using you. He saw the snake in their eyes the first time you brought them home. That's why he was rude to them. That's why he didn't want you hanging out with them. He wasn't being mean. He was having a biological reaction to a predator. He smelled the threat on them. He saw the weakness in their character that you were too blind to see. He tried to warn you. He tried to set boundaries. And you fought him. You fought the only person who was actually trying to protect you, in defense of the people who would eventually leave you to rot. You betrayed the king for the court jesters. And the most humbling, heartbreaking part of this entire dynamic is that he doesn't hold it against you. He doesn't demand an apology. He doesn't make you beg for forgiveness. He understands that you were young and stupid and desperate for peer approval. He swallows the disrespect. He swallows the rejection. He stays on his watchtower. He keeps the light on. Because he knows that eventually the party ends. The music stops. The friends go home to their own lives. And when the silence finally comes, and you are left alone with the consequences of your choices, you will need a place to go. You will need a base of operations. You will need a soldier who doesn't desert. And he will be there, just like he always was, sitting in the same chair, watching the same news, waiting for you to realize that he was the only friend you ever really had. You remember the fear. Don't pretend you don't. You remember the sound of his footsteps coming down the hall when you knew you'd done something wrong. You remember the tone of his voice, that drop in octave that vibrated in your chest. You remember the way he looked at you when you lied, or when you quit, or when you were being weak. He wasn't your friend in those moments. He was a giant. He was a force of nature. He was a monster. And you hated him for it. You went to your room, slammed the door, and wished for a different father. You wished for the soft dad. The dad who would say, "It's okay, buddy. You tried your best, even when you didn't try at all." The dad who would let you quit the team because the coach was mean. The dad who would let you sleep in. You wanted the nice guy. But here is the uncomfortable truth about the nice guy. The nice guy raises victims. The nice guy raises sheep for the slaughter. Your father knew something you didn't. He knew that out there, beyond the front door, the world is not nice. The world is predatory. The world doesn't care if you're tired. The world doesn't care if your feelings are hurt. The world will chew you up and spit you out without breaking eye contact. If he had been nice to you, if he had coddled you, sheltered you, and validated your weakness, he would have been sending a lamb into a den of wolves. So he became the monster you needed. He showed you his teeth, not to bite you, but to show you what teeth look like, to show you that you have teeth too, and you'd better learn how to use them. Remember when he made you redo the chores? You swept the garage, and he walked in, looked at the corners, and kicked the dust back into the center. Do it again. Cruel? No, that wasn't cruelty. That was a simulation. He was simulating a boss who will fire you for incompetence. He was simulating a client who will sue you for negligence. He was teaching you that good enough is the enemy of survival. He was introducing you to the concept of standards. If he had let you slide, if he had said, "Good job, sport," for a half-assed effort, he would have been lying to you. He would have been setting you up to fail the first time you met a man who demanded excellence. He took the hit. He let you think he was a tyrant. He let you bond with your friends over how strict and unreasonable your dad was. He sacrificed your affection in the short term to ensure your survival in the long term. Think about the psychology of that. Think about how much easier it would have been for him to just be your buddy, to buy you the toy, to let you stay out late, to avoid the conflict. It's exhausting to be the enforcer. It takes so much energy to hold the line when your own child is looking at you with hatred. But he held the line. He stood in the doorway of your life like a bouncer at a club, checking every attitude, every behavior, every habit that tried to get in. Not tonight. Not in this house. He wasn't trying to control you. He was trying to construct you. He was building a spine in a creature that was born an invertebrate. He was forging iron in your blood. And the only way to forge iron is with heat and pressure. He applied the pressure. He brought the heat. And now, look at you. You show up on time. You do the job right when no one is watching. You have a code. You have a backbone. You stand up for yourself. Where do you think that came from? Do you think you were born with that? Do you think you learned that from your nice friends? No. You learned that from the monster. You learned it because he was willing to be the bad guy in your story so that you could be the hero in your own. He absorbed your teenage venom, your eye rolls, your slammed doors, and he didn't waver. He didn't crumble. He stayed the course. Because he loved you too much to let you be weak. He knew that a harmless man is not a good man. A good man is a dangerous man who has it under control. He wanted you to be dangerous. He wanted you to be capable. He wanted you to be formidable. And you can't become formidable by being comfortable. So he made you uncomfortable. He pushed you. He scared you. He broke you down so he could build you back up into something that could survive the winter. He was the first dragon you had to fight. And because you fought him, because you pushed against his strength, you got strong. You are the man you are today not in spite of his strictness, but because of it. You think about your childhood bedroom. You think about the poster on the wall, the warm blanket, the door that locked. You think about the feeling of being inside, while the rain and the wind and the cold were outside. You felt safe. You felt like nothing could touch you. But safety is not a natural state. Entropy is the natural state. Chaos is the natural state. Decay, hunger, and violence are the defaults of the universe. So how did you exist in a bubble of warmth and security? Because he was the wall. He didn't just pay for the house. He was the house. He was the structural integrity that kept the roof from collapsing on your head. He was the insulation that kept the freezing reality of the world from touching your skin. And you never saw the cracks in the wall. You never saw him staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., heart hammering against his ribs, doing mental math that didn't add up. You never saw him sitting in his car in the driveway for 10 minutes before coming inside, gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white, just trying to compose his face so you wouldn't see the terror in his eyes. Terror? Yes, terror. You think your father is fearless? You think he's some stone golem who doesn't feel anxiety? He was terrified. Every single day. He was terrified of losing his job. He was terrified of the economy crashing. He was terrified of getting sick and not being able to work. He was terrified that he wouldn't be able to give you the life you deserved. but he couldn't show it. He couldn't come to you and say, "Son, I'm scared. I don't know if we're going to make it this month." He couldn't be vulnerable. He couldn't ask for a hug. Because if the captain panics, the crew mutinies. If the general trembles, the soldiers rout. So he swallowed it. He ate the fear. He metabolized the stress into ulcers, into high blood pressure, into that quiet, brooding silence you hated so much. He performed invulnerability for you. He put on a mask of absolute competence and stability. He acted like he had everything under control, even when the ground was crumbling beneath his feet. He did it so you could sleep. He did it so you could worry about important things like your video game high score or what shirt to wear to the dance. He took the brunt of the storm so you could play in the puddles. And what did you do? You poked at him. You tested him. You criticized him for being distant. "Dad, why are you always so serious? Dad, why don't you ever want to have fun?" Fun. The man is holding up the sky, Atlas style, his muscles trembling, his veins popping, sweat pouring down his face. And you're asking him why he doesn't want to play catch? He is exhausted. Not just body tired. Soul tired. The kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix. The kind of tired that comes from carrying the survival of 4 other human beings on your back for 20 years without a break. He is the architecture of your entire reality. Every opportunity you have, every class you took, every trip you went on, every meal you didn't have to hunt for, is a brick that he laid with his own life force. He built the floor you stand on. He built the walls that shelter you. He built the window you look out of to dream about your future. And he did it alone. In a society that tells men they are disposable, that tells men their only value is what they provide, he provided everything. He emptied himself out. He poured his life into the foundation of yours. And now, when you look at him, don't just see an old man in a chair. See the structural damage. See the load-bearing beams that are starting to buckle under the weight of decades. He is the only reason you aren't out in the cold. He is the only reason the wolves haven't eaten you yet. He didn't just protect you from the world. He protected you from the truth of the world. He curated a reality where you could be a child, where you could be innocent, where you could believe that things just work out. Things don't just work out. He worked them out. He forced them to work out. He wrestled the chaos into submission with his bare hands, day after day, just to give you a place to stand. You spent years trying to beat him. Admit it. Somewhere around the age of 16, you started keeping score. You started looking at him not as a god, but as a man, and a flawed man at that. You came home from school with new words, new concepts, new ways of seeing the world that he didn't understand. You corrected his grammar at the dinner table. You sighed when he couldn't figure out the remote. You rolled your eyes when he gave you advice that felt dated. You built a pedestal of arrogance and stood on top of it, looking down at the man who paid for the view. "I'm not going to be like him," you told yourself. "I'm going to be smarter. I'm going to be richer. I'm going to be more evolved." You treated your relationship like a competition. You treated every conversation like a debate you had to win. You wanted to prove that the student had become the master. You wanted to see him concede. You wanted to see him acknowledge your superiority. And sometimes you did win. You outtalked him. You outsmarted him. You made him feel small in his own kitchen. And what did he do? Did he rage? Did he flip the table? Did he list his resume of survival? No. He just went quiet. He looked at you with an expression you couldn't read. And maybe, just maybe, he gave a small nod. A nod that said, "Okay, you're right." You thought that was victory. You thought you had conquered the king. You fool. He wasn't fighting you. He was never fighting you. He was the one who paid for the education you used to humiliate him. He was the one who bought the books you read to prove him wrong. He was the one who worked the job that broke his back so you could stand tall enough to look down on him. He didn't lose. He succeeded. Do you understand? His goal was never to stay the smartest man in the room. His goal was to make you the smartest man in the room. Every time you beat him, he was silently cheering. Every time you surpassed him, he was winning. He is the booster rocket. He burns all his fuel. He shakes and rattles and tears himself apart to push you through the atmosphere. And then he falls away into the ocean while you go to the moon. And you looked back at the falling rocket and laughed at it for crashing. You looked at his calloused hands and felt superior because yours were soft. You looked at his simple tastes and felt superior because yours were refined. You didn't realize that your hands were soft because his were calloused. Your tastes were refined because his were simple. He absorbed the roughness of life so you could be polished. He is the only man on earth who wants you to be better than him. He wants you to make more money than him. He wants you to be a better father than him. He wants you to be happier than him. Most men are jealous of other men's success. Your friends? They secretly hate it when you win. Your coworkers? They want you to fail. But your father? He is the only fan in the stadium who stays after the lights go out. He isn't your rival. He is your floor. You were shadowboxing with a man who was trying to spot you. You were trying to knock out the guy in your corner. And the tragedy is, he let you land the punches. He took the disrespect. He took the arrogance. He let you believe you were the big man because he knew you needed to feel that way to survive out there. He let you practice your dominance on him because he knew the world wouldn't be so forgiving. He let you win the arguments because he knew that confidence is a weapon and he wanted you to be armed. So the next time you feel the urge to correct him, to show him how much more you know, to prove that you've outgrown him, stop. Look at him. Really look at him. That ignorance you see, it's the result of a man who didn't have the time to read the books you read because he was too busy paying for them. That simplicity, it's the luxury of a man who gave up his complexity so you could have yours. You didn't beat him. You just stood on his shoulders and claimed you were flying. You have a specific fantasy in your head. A movie scene. The music swells. The camera zooms in. Your father turns to you, tears glistening in his eyes, and delivers a 3-minute monologue about how much you mean to him, how proud he is, how you are the light of his life. He hugs you, and you both weep, and suddenly everything is resolved. You have been waiting for that scene your entire life. And because you haven't got it, you think something is missing. You think he is emotionally stunted. You think he is cold. You think he doesn't care. You are listening for a broadcast on the wrong frequency. You are judging a lion by its ability to chirp like a bird. Here is the translation key you never had. Men of his generation, men who carry the weight, do not speak in sonnets. They speak in logistics. They speak in friction. They speak in preventative maintenance. When you were leaving the house to go on a trip, did he say, "I will miss you terribly, my beloved child"? No. He asked, "Did you check the tires?" He asked, "Do you have gas money?" He asked, "Is your phone charged?" He said, "Watch out for that intersection. It's dangerous." You heard nagging. You heard control. You heard a boring old man obsessing over details. Here is what he was actually saying. Did you check the tires? Equals I am terrified that a piece of rubber will fail and I will lose the most important thing in my universe. Do you have gas money? Equals I would starve myself to make sure you are never stranded in the dark. Watch out for the intersection. Equals I cannot protect you out there. So I am trying to haunt your mind with caution so you stay alive. He doesn't love you with words. He loves you with anxiety. He loves you with hypervigilance. He loves you with a toolbox. Think about the times something broke in your apartment. The sink, the car, the shelf. You mentioned it in passing. Maybe you didn't even ask for help. What happened? He showed up with a bag of tools. He didn't make a big speech. He didn't ask how you were feeling about the broken sink. He got on his back, under the pipes, and he wrestled with the grime and the rust until it was fixed. That was a love letter. Every turn of the wrench was an I love you. Every drop of grease on his shirt was a I'm proud of you. Every hour he spent sweating over your problems was a poem of devotion, but you didn't read it. You just saw a handyman. You just saw a guy doing a job. You took the labor and discarded the message. You have punished him for decades for not being the emotional father you saw on TV. You have withheld your own affection because he didn't initiate the deep conversations you wanted. You called him distant while he was literally paving the road in front of you so you wouldn't trip. This is the Stoic's curse. To love so deeply that it hurts, but to be unable to express it in a way that the modern world values. To be the silent watchman who is criticized for not singing. He believes that his job is not to make you feel good. It is to keep you safe. He believes that feelings are a luxury for people who aren't on guard duty. And he is always on guard duty. If he stops worrying, disaster strikes. That is his superstition. That is his burden. He carries the worry so you don't have to. He carries the worst-case scenarios in his head, the accidents, the failures, the tragedies, so that you can live in the best-case scenario. And you call him a pessimist. You call him negative. Dad, stop worrying so much. You have no idea. You have no idea the darkness he holds back. You have no idea the monsters he stares down in his mind every single night while you are sleeping peacefully. He isn't negative. He is prepared. He is the shield that catches the arrow before it hits you. So stop waiting for the movie speech. Stop waiting for the tears. Stop waiting for him to become someone he isn't. Listen to the logistics. Listen to the nagging. Listen to the check your oil. That is the roar of a love so fierce it refuses to be reduced to mere words. Think about the worst thing you've ever done. Not the little things. Not the white lies. The thing. The deep, dark, shameful secret that makes your stomach turn when you think about it at 2 a.m. The mistake that proves you are flawed, broken, maybe even dangerous. If you told the world that secret, what would happen? If you told your boss, you'd be fired. If you told your friends, they'd distance themselves. If you told the internet, you'd be destroyed. Canceled. Erased. The world keeps a permanent record. The world loves a sinner because it loves to punish. The world hoards your mistakes like ammunition, waiting for the perfect moment to use them against you. Every credit score is a record of failure. Every background check is a hunt for sins. Every ex-partner is a witness for the prosecution. There is no statute of limitations on your reputation in the eyes of the crowd. Once you are marked, you are marked. But there is one exception. One jurisdiction where the laws of social physics do not apply. Walk into his house. Sit down in that chair. Look him in the eye and tell him. Tell him you lost the money. Tell him you failed the class. Tell him you have an addiction. Tell him you hurt someone. Watch his face. You will see pain. Yes. You will see disappointment. Probably. You will see the heavy burden of a man realizing his job isn't done yet. But you won't see rejection. You won't see the door closing. The world sees a criminal. He sees a wounded child. The world sees a liability. He sees an investment. The world sees a write-off. He sees a repair project. He is the only human being on the planet capable of separating the sin from the sinner. To everyone else, you are your mistake. To him, The mistake is just something on you, like mud. And mud can be washed off. Do you understand the psychological impossibility of this? If a stranger stole from him, he would call the police. If a colleague lied to him, he would cut them off. If a neighbor disrespected him, he would build a fence. But you? You can steal his sleep, his money, his peace of mind, and his pride. And he will still ask, "Did you eat?" He issues the only unconditional pardon in existence. Why? Because you are his blood. You are the physical manifestation of his immortality. To reject, you would be to amputate his own limb. It hurts him to love you when you are unlovable, but he does it because he cannot not do it. It is encoded in the marrow. He is the defense attorney who knows you are guilty, who knows the evidence is stacked against you, who knows the jury hates you, and who stands up and says, "Objection." He objects to the world's verdict. He objects to your self-hatred. He absorbs the cost of your redemption. Think about the times he bailed you out. Not just with money, but with his presence. When you were broken, he provided the glue. When you were lost, he became the map. He didn't rub your nose in it. He didn't make you sign a contract of repayment. He just did it. And you took it for granted. You thought, "Well, he's my dad. He has to." He doesn't have to. There are millions of fathers who walk away. There are millions of men who choose their own comfort over their children's chaos. But yours stayed. Yours paid the bail. Yours fixed the car. Yours sat in the silence of your shame and didn't leave the room. He gave you a clean slate when the world wanted to tattoo your failures on your forehead. He is the only reason you can look in the mirror and not see a monster. Because when he looks at you, he doesn't see a monster. He sees the potential he has always known was there, buried under the debris of your bad choices. He is the keeper of your redemption. And one day, you will need that pardon again. You will fall. You will crash. And when the smoke clears and the fair-weather friends have fled the scene, you will see one silhouette standing in the wreckage, holding a hand out to pull you up. Don't slap that hand away. Pick a date. It doesn't matter which one. Tuesday, November 14th, 2034. Or maybe a Thursday in 2029. It's a random, unremarkable day on the calendar. The sun comes up. You drink your coffee. You go to work. You complain about the traffic. You text your friends about a movie. And then the phone rings. It's your mother, or your brother, or a number you don't recognize, but your stomach drops the second you see the area code. You answer, and the world stops. The noise of the traffic fades. The color drains out of the room. Your heart hammers a frantic rhythm against your ribs, a drumbeat of denial. No, no, no. But no doesn't change physics. No doesn't change biology. Fast forward 3 days. The suit is itchy. The flowers smell sickly sweet. People you haven't seen in 10 years are shaking your hand, mumbling empty platitudes about a better place, and he's at peace. They don't know what to say. They just want to leave. Fast forward 2 weeks. The guests are gone. The casserole dishes have been returned. The house is quiet. You walk into the living room. There it is. The chair. The leather is worn in the shape of his back. The remote is on the side table, exactly where he left it. His reading glasses are folded next to a coaster. The ghost of his routine is still haunting the room. Sit in it. Go ahead. Sit in the chair. It feels wrong. It feels too big. It feels like you're trespassing on holy ground. And then, the silence hits you. Not the quiet of an empty house. The silence of a missing frequency. The silence of a radio station that has gone off the air forever. You realize, with a terror that makes your knees weak, that the wall is gone. The barrier between you and the abyss has dissolved. For your entire life, No matter how old you got, no matter how independent you thought you were, you knew, deep in your reptilian brain, that if everything went to hell, he was there. If you lost the job, if you lost the house, if you broke your leg, if the world collapsed, there was a safety net. There was a backup generator. Now, you are the generator. You are the net. You are the wall. The wind is hitting your face directly for the first time in your life. There is no one standing in front of you to break the gale. You pick up your phone. Habit. Muscle memory. You want to tell him about the weird noise your car is making. You want to ask him how to fix a leaky faucet. You want to tell him you got a raise. And then you freeze. There is no one to call. The vast, accumulated library of his knowledge, the decades of experience, the thousands of solved problems, the map of how to be a man, has burned down. It's gone. You can't Google it. You can't ask Siri. You needed him. And what haunts you in that moment isn't the big stuff. It's the small stuff. It's the times you cut him off on the phone because you were busy. It's the times you rolled your eyes at his stories because you'd heard them before. It's the times you didn't say thank you because it felt awkward. It's the times you walked out of the room while he was still talking. You treated his presence like a renewable resource. You treated his time like it was infinite. You thought you had later. I'll ask him later. I'll visit him later. I'll fix the relationship later. Later just arrived. And it's empty. You are standing in the wreckage of your own procrastination. You are holding a bag of unsaid words that are now heavy as lead, and you will carry that bag for the rest of your life. You were too cool to hug him. You were too busy to listen. You were too independent to ask for advice. Congratulations. You got what you wanted. You are completely independent now. You are completely cool. You are completely unbothered. And you would give your right arm, your career, your house, and every dollar in your bank account just to hear him say, check your oil, one more time. Just one more time. But the chair is empty. The glasses are gathering dust. And the silence is the loudest thing you have ever heard. You are alone at the helm. The captain is dead. And the storm is coming. Wake up. Open your eyes. Look at the calendar. Look at the clock. The chair is not empty yet. The glasses are not gathering dust. The phone number still works. You just hallucinated the worst day of your life so that you wouldn't have to live it. With regret. You just visited the ghost of your future so you could change your present. You have a time machine. It is sitting in your pocket. It is parked in your driveway. You have a choice right now. A binary, zero-sum choice that will define the rest of your life. Option A. You close this video. You go back to scrolling. You go back to being busy. You go back to treating him like furniture. Useful, reliable, and invisible. You wait. You wait for the right time to say the things you need to say. You wait until you're less stressed. And you keep waiting until the phone rings on that Tuesday morning and the silence swallows you whole. You choose the regret. You choose the eulogy spoken to a box instead of a man. Option B. You break the pattern. Today, not tomorrow. Today, you pick up the phone. You drive to his house. And you do the thing that feels almost physically painful for a modern man to do. You drop the cool. You drop the cynicism. You drop the independence. You walk in the door. He'll look up, surprised. He'll ask, what's wrong? Do you need money? Is the car broken? Because he is conditioned to believe that you only show up when you need a resource. He is trained to believe that his value is transactional. And you look him in the eye and say, no, nothing is wrong. I just wanted to see you. Watch his face. Watch the confusion turn into something else. Watch the armor crack just a tiny bit. Sit down. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at the TV. Look at him. Ask him a question you have never asked. Dad, What did you want to be before you had me? Dad, tell me about the hardest day you ever worked. Dad, tell me about your father. He won't know what to do at first. He might deflect. He might grunt. But stay there. Push through the awkwardness. The awkwardness is just the rust on a gate that hasn't been opened in 20 years. Push it open. And listen. Record his voice. Secretly, if you have to. Capture the sound of his laugh. Capture the timbre of his stories. Because one day, that recording will be the most valuable thing you own. It will be worth more than your house. It will be worth more than your portfolio. Stop trying to impress him with your success. He doesn't care about your title. He doesn't care about your followers. He cares that you are there. He wants to know that the sacrifice wasn't in vain. He wants to know that the man he built is a good man, a grateful man, a man who remembers. You have treated him like a background character in the movie of your life. He is not a background character. He is the producer. He is the director. He is the stuntman who took the fall so you could look like a hero. He is the only person in your entire existence who has signed a contract in blood to be on your side. Even when you are wrong. Even when you are ugly. Even when you are a failure. Everyone else can divorce you. Everyone else can fire you. Everyone else can unfollow you. He cannot. He will not. He is the last line of defense. He is the trench you run to when the world is shelling you. But the trench is temporary. The soldier is mortal. The clock is ticking louder than you think. Don't wait for the funeral to deliver the eulogy. Don't wait for the hospital bed to hold his hand. Don't wait for the silence to appreciate the noise. Give him his flowers while he can still smell them. Give him his respect while he can still hear it. Give him his son back. He has been waiting for you to come home. Really come home, not just to sleep, not just to eat, but to be with him since the day you left. He is sitting in that chair right now. The TV is on. He is thinking about you. He is worrying about your tires. He is wondering if you are eating enough. Go to him. Shake his hand. Look him in the eye. And say, thank you. Because he is the only one who will ever truly deserve it.